Hi everyone, I'm Anna Flores. I'm here to talk to you about compliance in raw. So, what compliance is the ease to descend the thorax and lung cavity. An example of a compliance clinical manifestation would be a patient with COPD due to air trapping. It pertains mostly in the AC membrane, while raw, on the other hand, is air resistance in the larger airway. An example of raw clinical manifestation would be a patient with status asthmaticus because due to the constriction of the bronchial smooth muscle. The way we can measure compliance would be when we do an inspiratory pause. So there would be on a button there, if we're using a PVA 40, it says inspiratory pause, not all the way, but you would hold that and it would measure your plateau and either your static or your dynamic compliance. So for instance, we can also do a calculation for static or dynamic compliance. One pertains to airflow and one pertains to no flow. So, for example, if you use static compliance, we would calculate it by the tidal volume over the peak plateau minus the PEEP, which would give you a number. Now, the ranges between that equation would be 40 to 60. Now, if it falls below that, then it would be a restrictive disease. So, with a low compliance, it would show us that it's a restrictive disease. Again, to find raw, though, again, it's a resistance in the larger airway. We would find the, we would subtract the PIP, which is a PIP, minus a plateau, and we would have raw. Normally, on a person without a mechanical ventilator, we would have 2 to 3 as raw, but a person on a ventilator would be 5 to 10. Now, if it's more than 10, more than the normal range on a mechanical ventilator, then we would have an increase of raw, which would show that there's an increase of work of breathing, and we can see that when the patient's not in sync with the ventilator. And I hope this is a good summary for understanding compliance in raw and a little bit more about mechanical ventilation.